should be live now. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we ever really truly have fun. Of course, I'm in the middle of a blizzard, so there's that. Yeah, yeah. You didn't know? I sent you. I sent you video. I've had to do the same thing. Yeah, I actually took my watch off one day because you guys were pinging me so much I could barely type. So I'm just like, okay, off goes the watch. uh, so we were going to talk about the PS5 deep dive and how that compares to. Oh, there's Ryan. Hey, Ryan. How that compares to the Xbox Series X. Um, so I know you're kind of like, hey, it's all about exclusives, and I agree with you to an extent, but I also think the hardware is going to play a factor on it and how quick people can get up to speed and develop. I haven't muted anybody. Hold on, let me see if my desktop audio do. Oh, I think I know what's going on. Hang on. My bad. Probably me. Um, File settings. Audio is going to be. There they are. And that's going to be disabled. I'm going to apply that. Okay. Might try to say something and see if it comes in. This may not work. Oh my goodness gracious. See, I changed it to my headphones because that was the main audio. I don't know what it's coming from then.
Had to add like desktop audio
Wait a
or
minute, that
something.
might be doing it. How's that now?
I don't know. I'm just gonna keep talking till somebody says they can hear me. Ryan, tell us if I am still muted. Da, 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 do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. There it is. Okay, he said there it is. Okay, you
Okay.
fixed it.
Okay. I fixed the thing!
How many
Oh
IT
my god.
motherfuckers does it take to fix it? One.
More than we have. Uh,
Yes. No, I did this. It took me like a while to fix it with you that day, and I went,
oh my
"Oh,
god.
it's that thing." Yes, it's
Okay.
horrible.
Okay. So if we
Okay,
can hear, if
back
we
to
can hear everybody,
series.
we'll go back to what we're doing. Oh my god. Okay. So PS5 had their deep dive launch, which was, oh my god,
Boring.
that
It's
guy was
boring.
so dry. Uh, I kept waiting for a clown to come out to keep people entertained so people could fucking stay awake, because I
My name
almost
is
fell asleep
Sony,
and my
and I'm
head.
going to go real slow like this, and I'm going to talk about this amazing PS5. It's so amazing.
I am super excited over the PS5. It is an amazing system. I am so excited to bring this information to
Beep
you.
boop, bitty,
Oh,
boop
it was
boop boop.
so painful. The data was good.
Mark
Don't
Mark
get me
Sony is
wrong.
a great guy. He gets excited sometimes, but a lot of
He
times
does. I thought he
I've
was.
seen him. Yeah, Ryan says Sony should bring Flute Guy back. If you remember Flute Guy from that E3.
Oh, I saw that. I'm not seeing any chat come. Oh, there it goes. Wow, that is coming in slow. Yeah, you said that on Twitter, man. I saw that.
Mark
I don't.
Cerny is the smartest crack. He's smart, and it's not a Sony versus Microsoft thing, but he's smarter than I think some of the guys at Microsoft. He just does not know how to verbalize himself. He's a monotone, boring dude, but
He really
he,
is. I mean, he apparently spent a ton of time going around talking to developers, and apparently their big thing was like, "Hey, can we put an SSD in this?" And I'm like, "Why couldn't you put an SSD into this? That doesn't make any sense." Of course, you need to put an
cost.
SSD into. Well, yeah, but I mean, Xbox is already putting an SSD in there, so of course you're going to.
Yeah.
That's a
Well, I
no-brainer.
think they've been asking for a long time, like 7. Think about this. It's been 7 years ago. Yeah, SSDs weren't they couldn't afford that. Those consoles been back then have been $600 with an SSD. It's gotten
They're
better now,
they're
but
going to be like $600-700 this
I
time with the
know, I know.
architecture. I mean,
I
okay,
think they're
so
both going to be five at least, easy.
probably. So let's start off with talking about the SSD because that seemed to be the big thing that I caught on to because I literally
Mm.
just built a new computer, which I'm kind of working through the kinks on. Not that that's an excuse on the stream. I just fucked that up. Um,
I fucked mine up last night, folks. I had to restart the whole damn. I about threw something and said, "Fuck it, I'm not streaming again." So I feel your pain, my friend.
uh,
I hate you two streaming.
hold on, we're gonna
Oh.
show this, and then I'm gonna bring this back up. Oh, there we go. Okay. Kearney is the guy I really want to tell us the world really goes to shit. I feel calm if he tells me we're all doomed.
If he told us we're going to be slowly eaten by zombies, I would feel less paranoid about it. I
That's
don't know
true.
why.
It's true. It's very strange, but it's true. Um, their SSD has got to be proprietary. I spent some time looking because
It is.
I literally just installed two NVMe's into this thing at 2 terabytes apiece, right?
Wow.
And those only run up to 3,500 kilobytes a second. This thing runs 5,500
Gigabytes or
gigabytes per
right,
second.
gigabyte.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gigabytes per second. So this one runs 2,000 more gigabytes per second than the drive
raw.
that I have.
That's raw. At compressed data, which all the game developers are using, they can pull 8 to 9 gigabytes. All the specs of this, and yeah, if you went back and I read, I watched also Digital Foundries, which they interviewed Mark Cerny. Digital Foundries talked to him, and they said yes, it's completely proprietary. All the hardware, the decoder, is not even on the Ryzen or DNA2 or RNA2 chips. They made it so custom that that's how they have doubled
Well, see,
over
here's my
Microsoft.
quandary with that because they say you can
Mm-hmm.
install another drive on top of that, right? But if it doesn't
But
match the speed of the one that's in there, it won't be able to use it to play the PS5 games. So how in the hell are you going to get another one? Because you can install.
they're coming out. They're coming out.
So they're
They
gonna.
hope that they are coming out. They're PCI Express 4.0, and they're coming out. They said
Okay.
that if you remember Mark Cerny, I don't know if you watched. I actually had a lull in my day. I was sitting there working, and I was doing a lot of spreadsheet stuff, so I kind of took my part of a break,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "You hear that beep?" Yeah, it's just me.
I think that's you. I don't hear a beep.
Um, he pretty much. I just took a break and watched it. He was saying, it's please wait. We're going to verify them. By the time this comes out on market, it's going to be there. I bet you, I've said this in our text, that I think they know this is coming out. They're just waiting for like the release of the PlayStation 5, and then they're going to do this little approved PS5 approved. Because remember back on the Xbox, they only would run on approved external drives, and then they opened it up to everything.
Right.
So it's a gamble for them.
Yeah.
But
And that kind of brings me into like the next couple things, right? So they had their
mhm.
pet project, which was their audio chip that they wanted to do that's based on the
Jesus
AMD.
Christ, I was sitting there going,
And
I don't understand a lot of this, but
well,
damn, that's
well, and
impressive.
here's the confusing thing to me about the audio chip is they're like, well, everybody's audio is like a thumbprint, right? Every single one of them's unique, but we're gonna make this awesome audio chip that's gonna accommodate everybody. I'm like, how?
Yeah, they're
How?
going to give you a bunch of presets, and then over time, from what the other interviews, they're going to let you attune it to yourself. You're going to probably be able to tune the damn thing to yourself, like with headphones, and then change that. They're going to give you like 5 or 6 presets, or 4 or 5 presets. Yeah,
That
they're wanting. Yeah, this it's very ambitious, and it could fall flat on its face, and they could do like Google with Stadia or something, and just give up on it, and just say, "Here's some presets, have fun."
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Like, I know they spend a lot of time kind of debunking the teraflop thing because they're about 2 teraflops behind the Xbox as far as just raw graphical power, right? But they've
Yeah,
eliminated a couple of different bottlenecks because what I saw was like I want to say it was like 10 teraflops or just over 10 teraflops versus
10.3 versus
12.
12.1, blah blah. Some
Yeah,
little decibels keep going,
basically
so pretty
two.
much two.
Yeah,
But
but
there's something I wanted to say that I can't choose which one is going to be more powerful until some developer puts a game on both of them.
right.
The Xbox has over 50 something computational units at 1.8 something gigahertz. Sony's got 36 beefier, bigger computational units at 2.3 max. Every time that I've ever seen this, when somebody tries to slap two numbers on them and they never compare,
Yeah,
it's like we got to see like The Witcher 3, Doom Eternal. Some those developers go they yank those detail things all the way up 4K 60 ray tracing, everything turned on, and say run.
yeah,
Then we'll see the
and
difference.
and
And I
and,
bet you
and
they're going to be close.
I think they're probably going to be close. And but the thing that I'm concerned with, and we talked about this through text and everything like that too,
Mm-hmm.
is since it's a lot of proprietary hardware and a lot of proprietary setup, this is reminding me a lot of like say the PS2 and PS1 days, where the
Mm-hmm.
architecture was kind of hard to ramp up on for people. Now he said in his speech that they thought it was going to be less than
Mm-hmm.
a month for people to be
One to
able to
two.
ramp
Actually,
up.
1 to 2. One to two. Well, no, he's right. One less than a month. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
the PS4 was like 1 to 2, I think is what he said.
And
Because
PS, he said PS1 was 1 to 2. I didn't think it was that quick. I thought it was more, but
yeah, but I mean, even in the PS2, they were still figuring out shit up until the end of the console life. Because some of the
yeah,
best looking games that came out on it and some of the best quality titles that came out on it didn't come out until the very tail end of the system.
right, right.
And
Mm.
whereas the 360, like everything was there and you could push it almost immediately, right? Because it was so accessible. The libraries were there, the kits were there. People knew how to build for it from day one, so it was easy to get out the gate.
Right, because Ryan said he was Sony's first party developers. They know what they're programming for, but I did hear him kept say Mark Cerny say you don't. A lot of this is optional. We wanted to make it easy. If they come out and he came out and said, the PS3 was hard to develop for and we messed up. I sat back and actually threw my arms up, going, "Holy shit!" They admitted it. They know they've cocked it up in the past with their custom chips. I'm hoping their custom stuff is so under the hood that a developer will never have to butt up against it. Or I'll turn on your massive audio system if I want to. If I don't, I won't do it. And I
Right.
think the one reason that audio system is there, do you remember what they said was the gold standard to test that with? Was headphones. You know why? I've thought this through and I haven't said it on my channel yet. They are doing that system, I guarantee you, for PSVR.
I could see that. But the thing is I don't think PSVR is going to catch up to like the Oculus, all the Oculus
May
systems
not.
and the
May not.
Index.
But
I
other
mean,
than a
it'll
computer, they're the
have
biggest one out there.
yeah. I mean, it'll
So,
have a good. I mean, the system itself will have good penetration into the market, right? Obviously, because it's a
hmm
PlayStation 5, people are going to buy it. Hell, I'm probably going to buy one. Um,
I will
but
later on. I won't get it at launch.
yeah, well, the only reason I would get it at launch is if like a couple of you guys bought it and said, "Hey, let's grab this and play this. This looks like
Yeah.
it'll be fun," and then we played it online. That would be why I bought it on launch. But that would be the only reason I'd buy either one of the consoles on launch because I
hmm
literally just now built a new beefy PC. Hell, I didn't even buy Doom on a console. I bought it on PC.
Yeah.
Dude, I went from struggling with, and this was with a 2080 Ti that I bought like months ago to put into the machine, prepping for the new build, right?
Right.
In my old machine for struggling for like 30 to 40 frames a second to 200.
Yeah, because all your bottleneck was like
All the
this,
bottlenecks went
this,
away.
this computer. I mean, Cyrus sent me this computer, but I built around that old AMD chip, and I always appreciate him saying that. When I put this Ryzen 7 in, everything just this system is not near as powerful as your system, but as a 1080p, it's a monster. I could
Yeah.
run even with my 1060. I probably could run any game at max settings.
Yeah.
There's no bottleneck.
Well, to tell you the ridiculousness of this is I've got a 35-inch monitor that I'm staring at right now, right? That runs
Mm-hmm.
at 440 by 1440.
Mm-hmm.
So that was at that resolution that it did 200.
That's a
And
ridiculous.
that's
Yeah.
what crushed it before, because I was pushing that resolution and it killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because before I was able to run it like really high resolution on my old card, but I ran it on a much smaller monitor, right? And
Exactly.
they
Yeah.
just added ultra wide into Doom not that long ago. Well, it might have been a while ago. It'd been a while since I booted up the game to play it, but that's the kind of thing we're talking about, right? And that kind of
Right.
leads back into this whole conversation of removing bottlenecks and changing specs and who's done
Mm-hmm.
what to kind of make things run faster, because it's not always the GPU. The GPU is going to have bottlenecks on the system if you don't make the rest
Right.
of the actual unit run the way it's supposed to. So the SSD comes into play, your RAM comes into play, your bus line comes
Mm-hmm.
into play, all those things, right?
And there's something did you notice in the Xbox Series X specs they split the RAM up again?
No,
There's
no,
10 gigs running at 560 something gigabits per second or megabit, whatever, 500 something. You can pull those up here in a second.
right.
And there's 6 gigs running at 300 something.
Why did they split that up? Are they trying to run like the OS on part of it and leave it dedicated?
The 6 gigs uses 2.5 gigs for the operating system, 3.5 gigs for the CPU calculations, like what would that be? Like, no, ray tracing would be GPU, right? I don't
Yeah.
know how ray tracing works. Is there anything on the CPU or is it all GPU ray tracing? I don't know.
Generally, well, if you have a good enough GPU, it's all done on the GPU. It's all rendered there.
Yeah.
And with them
Uh,
throwing basically a 2080 in there, it should be on the card.
right. Pretty much. Let me pull it up here. They said that the 3.5 gigs at that 300 something gigabits per second or whatever. Okay, here it is. 6 gigabytes at 336 gigabits per second and 10 gigs at 560. The 10 gigs is just for the graphics card.
Okay, that makes
But,
sense. That's a little low, actually, because mine's got 12. It's either got 12 or 16.
well, here's the thing
Just
about it.
just on the card.
They're using 16 gig GDR6. Sony has 16 gig GDDR6 256 bit at a 448 gigabits per second unified. Again, they went unified.
Right.
I that's a bottleneck, and nobody's really mentioned this or complained about it. Because on the Xbox One X, they copied the PlayStation 5 and put 12 gigs of GDDR5 unified RAM. So why did they split it up? And somebody's going to say, "Well, it's not going to hurt it." Why did you split it up? Why did you put two different types of RAM? I mean, yes, their video RAM runs at 560 gigabits versus 448, but what happens if it runs out of memory on the graphics side? And it can at 10 gigs. They're going to be pushing
I,
4K
I think they're
60.
counting on that extra throughput, getting it out of the pipe. So look at it this way:
Right.
going back to PC builds, AMD architecture versus Intel architecture. AMD
Mm-hmm.
architecture is basically, let's split this up amongst, like, double the number of processors you get on the fastest Intel, and we'll come out the pipe like really quick, right? Intel
Right.
said,
Right.
fuck adding more cores, power. So
Yeah,
they did
exactly.
hyper threading, right? So hyper
Yeah.
threading just crams that shit through the pipe as fast as freaking possible, right? So when it comes out the other end, boom, it's really quick. Now that works better for games. It
Right.
doesn't work as well for, like, if you have Photoshop up and Premiere up and say you get a video up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking about what's on my desktop right now, and
Yeah,
you know
exactly. All this stuff. Yeah.
all this crap that I've got up along with OBS and streaming and this, that, and the other,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is why I tried to build an AMD, which is why you're looking at that damn Ryzen behind me, that fucking flaming piece of, let me burn that thing in a fire. Uh,
You just have bad luck building them. I
I
don't
won't
know.
build another.
I pick my AMD chip. I then figure out what socket it is. I go find the best for my bang for my buck socket at a Newegg. I match the socket, and then I go with their recommended RAMs for that mother. I have never had a bad
Dude, do
build
you have
yet.
an
I don't
AM?
know.
Do you have an AM4 socket? Because I have an AM4 chip. It's a 39. It's a 3950.
I don't know
It's
what
the
I
most
have.
banging chip they have next to the Threadrippers.
I don't know what I've got. I'd have to pull it up, but I think it was an AM3 Plus or no, it's not. I don't even know what it is. I don't think I can run Ryzen.
Okay, this is a Gen 3 Ryzen 3950. My Intel 9900 that I built into this thing finally was cheaper.
The Intel was cheaper.
Intel was cheaper by $200,
Well,
and
are you?
it's faster overall.
Well,
It just
are
doesn't
you?
multitask as well.
Can you send that thing back?
No, I tried. I was gonna see if you wanted it.
Let me double check. I would fucking turn around and I would sit there and buy your 1080 off of you later on. That would probably be more, and that thing's still a beast. It'd
Oh,
be
the
more
1080
than
is still a great card, man. I used it actually to build this machine all the way up until I could put the 2080 in it, so I had some video out to a monitor. I used it as like
I
a
just don't know if I
springboard.
really need it, even for 1080p gaming. Even my 1060 pulls like four something teraflops. It's like retarded.
Yeah,
I mean, so anyway, back to this. You're right about the split memory, but again, we're talking about a system on a chip all put together, and you have one pool of memory. I don't know. I hope they're split. What happens if at 3.5 gigs just for the CPU and they in a game like in Destiny 2 actually was a problem about this, even though we hate that game. They had to scale back their physics for the PS4 Pro and stuff. What happens if that 3.5 gigs of memory or 6 gigs or whatever runs out of computational speed for stuff? Well, the PS5 doesn't have that. They share.
yeah, it's entirely possible, but it's also possible that the PS5 is going to try to do something else with that memory while it's almost got everything through the pipe, and that's going to suck it
True.
too, because it's not separated
You're
any
right.
memory out. Now, I don't know how Microsoft is going to address that RAM that they've separated out. I don't know. Could that be just allocated for, say, screw it, this is for just for ray tracing, or this is just for this when you need it, right? And the rest of
Yeah.
this is allocated for rendering textures and for getting things on the screen
Hmm.
fast. So you have dedicated memory just for this feature, and then you have this that runs the rest of it. That way you have more of a balance. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? I
Right.
don't I don't know if that's how they're
I
going to do
don't
it, or if
know
they're going to
either.
leave it for the OS. I have no idea.
I do know that the OS only runs on that 336 gigabytes. It's reserved at 2.5 gig. That's the only thing they would talk about.
Right.
So I was like, okay. And I wonder because there was something Digital Foundries pointed out back onto the dies. You know, you have the die on a console and they put the memory around it because it's all soldered in. They were wondering why there were two different sizes, and that's why there are 6 gigs and 10. I'm wondering can that RAM talk to each other? I know that's stupid, but it depends on how they design it. Sometimes they'll just streamline those pipes where they don't talk to each other. So
Yeah.
there that could be a bottleneck. And then again, I don't know. I was going down through I'm going to say this to people think I'm bashing the Series X. That fucking box is impressive.
Dude, that thing's
It's
tiny.
impressive.
Have you seen the pictures of it?
Yes, I watched them put it back together and it's
Dude,
tiny as shit.
dude, IGN took a picture of it with a banana, and it was barely bigger than the banana.
Yes. And I bet you the PS5 is about the same because they can compress all that on that system on a chip. And I love PC building as much as you. At some points, it makes PC building going, damn, I wish we could get that, but it doesn't, it defeats the purpose of the custom of a
Yeah,
PC, but it's still amazing.
Yeah, and the reason you wouldn't build one that small is because how in the hell would you work on it? You'd have to check the whole thing out.
Oh, right, right,
It's
right.
all integrated, right? So
It's
you
all meant to,
can't.
it's all meant to set in front of your TV for 5 to 7 years and you're done.
Yeah, it's
Knock
like
on
it's
wood
like
that you don't
it's
have
like
a red ring
rebuilding
of death or something.
it's like rebuilding a laptop. You're not gonna fucking do that. Yeah, I
You might
mean,
be able to pull out a keyboard or maybe a couple parts, maybe a Wi-Fi antenna detachable, and that's it.
yeah,
Maybe.
replace the screen. That's it.
Yeah.
Something small. But yeah, I mean, and that's why they can get it that tiny, because they shrink everything down and they make it for one purpose and one purpose alone.
Exactly.
Whereas a base computer is built for like multiple different tasks. You might be using Photoshop, you might be using Premiere, you're going to be streaming, you're going to be playing a game while you're doing all that. And so it's meant to handle multiple things, right? So they get a little bit
Right.
bigger. But yeah, I mean, the fact that they were able to shrink them down that small is great. And really, this leads back to with the Series X and the way they're planning this. And we talked about this too. I just think they want a PC like an Apple TV
living
sitting
room.
on your entertainment console in your living room.
And if that rumor of booting to a true Windows 10 mode, install Steam, Ubisoft. Why would you install Bethesda? But Anyway, I don't want to be a dick about that. Install what you want
They're
and
gonna
run
try to
it.
fix it in April. Wastelands is coming out. It's gonna fix everything.
What's coming out?
Wastelands. It's gonna fix everything.
Bethesda could kiss my ass, and I have to say, I thought about due to all this stuff going on, and I don't like to use these words about the interesting stuff going on because sometimes they can be flagged on YouTube. I thought about, and I think about sitting down here and starting Fallout 3 again, just because, whatever. I don't trust them, and I won't buy another Fallout game until they prove themselves.
Buy Outer Worlds.
Oh, I'm going to, but you know why I'm waiting? There's going to get a physical release on the Switch.
Okay, I could see that.
Yes, the first delay, not with this big issue. Let them say that they're going to put a physical release out, and I went, can I? If I could sit there and pick it up and allow the family to also play their Switch, which we've done on the docks, and I'm playing, I'm like, okay, Outer Worlds. Yes, I'm going to wait for it. I almost bought it on the PS4, and I'm like, fuck. I can
I'm
wait.
playing through it with a friend, and we're just passing the controller back and forth, doing different sections, and it's been a blast.
That's awesome.
It's been an absolute blast. So yeah, if you want your Fallout fix, that's the game for you right now.
Oh, I may double dip on it. I'm getting to that point of I'm getting the Twitch. I may end up just with this new build. I may just buy it on the PC and do it like that.
I've thought about buying it on PC just to play it solo while I'm playing it with him. But I mean, okay, so to go into we talked about the audio. We talked about the SSD. We talked about.
Well, we haven't talked about Series S as external SSD stuff.
That's right. We now they've got a proprietary SSD, and I actually kind of really like this idea. I think I like it a little bit more than you do, because you can just basically plug it right in. It is proprietary, but it's a whole terabyte that you can just drop a game on. Then if you want to take it to somebody's house, you just pull it, take it, plug it in, and then everything's there.
Well, I like it. I'm going to say that, for my videos, I'm going to be honest right off the bat. I think the PS5 with some of its custom hardware and that ridiculously fucking fast SSD could do some cool stuff that the Series X can't. But overall, I can't choose. I can't flip a coin. I won't buy another Xbox. I've already said that. I won't buy another Xbox. But I do think those removable drives are fucking cool.
I think that's dope. I'm sorry.
It is dope.
To coin a phrase I have I'm too white to use. It's dope.
But there's only one problem that I see with it.
And right, it's going to be expensive.
It's going to be custom and expensive. That little external stub is not plastic. It's a metal heat sink because those fuckers get hot. So I've said this on mine. I'm not fanboying either side. Sony, great. You could go buy it off the shelf. Awesome. Oh, wait, we have to approve it. Oh, wait, the goddamn things are not there. How
are you going to install it too? That's my thing. Do I have to crack open the chassis to put
they said there's a bay that's got to fit in their bay to make sure.
Okay.
So more likely there's a bay on the back. They said that. But so Sony's is great. You could buy whatever one you want. 2, you have to buy ones they approve and it's not available. There's a bad good. Microsoft's, it's portable. It's fucking amazing. That's a great. It's custom, so it's going to be the memory stick duos all over again. So each one has a good and bad. I can't pick which one's better. To be honest, they both are awesome. It's just like, if you had a Series X and your other buddy had a Series X, he could go, I got this new fucking awesome game on Series X. Hold on, doop, come over to your house, doop, let's play it at full speed. That is awesome. There's no install. That is awesome. Yeah. I have to say. Hats off to fucking Microsoft for that.
And I want to see if they do any cool tricks with that, right? Like, can you download, like, say, mods to it or something like that and run mods of it and go, hey, I found this really cool mod that works on the Series X. Check this out. And he plugs it in, and the game recognizes that the mod's on there somewhere, right? And just loads it up and runs it. Very much like you can mod on a PC.
I think the entire storage of that game stays there because they said that even on both PlayStation 5, it says, you can move it over here. Both systems, I knew what they were going to do. Said, you need this SSD to play the new games, and I knew that's going to happen.
Oh, so. I knew this. If they didn't put an SSD in this generation was going to fall flat on its face. They had to go SSD. The SSDs have gotten way too fast. They're way too necessary for just being able to load up the games. I mean, you saw my video where I loaded up Borderlands 3 on my Xbox One, and it took like 3 minutes. I loaded it up on in a minute on my old SSD. I'm betting it's like 30 seconds on this one.
I'm betting it's less than 30. Even Microsoft's, they showed some of those games booting up, and these are 360 games and Xbox One games. Fuck, they're fast as shit. Because not only are they SSD, they're just like Apple's. They're completely soldered. There's no SATA ports or anything, which can be a bottleneck. They're so fast that. Did you see the new resume feature for the Series X?
I haven't watched it come up. I was told like it's like 2 to 5 seconds and you're back in your game.
They timed it 6 to 7 seconds,
Yeah.
but these are old games.
And that's
but they
even
sit
that's
there,
even after reboot too, because apparently you can turn the whole thing off, power it back up,
Yeah,
and then you can still do that.
it's basically Windows hibernate mode. It writes that game's memory down to the SSD, and you click Gears 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in there, and it doesn't know where the hell it doesn't even know it was paused.
And see,
And I guarantee you that the PlayStation will do the same. Yeah,
1 terabyte is actually kind of big. You're thinking 1 gigabyte, Ryan. I mean, you're thinking like 10 gigs of data is a terabyte.
Well, he's also got a point that the Xbox, the PS4 Pro, and the series and the Xbox. God, I hate Microsoft's fucking names. They had they had games they had 4K games at 100 gigs. That's barely 10 games. He's right. That's the fucking deal. Final Fantasy VII Remake is 100 gigs.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to clear out my entire PS4 to play it.
Thankfully, my newer one I got has a terabyte, and I have like gigs open.
I think I think mine's like 500 gig or something like that. Is all it has.
Doom Eternal's coming in the mail Saturday due to all this delay, so I don't know how much that's going to take. But yeah, that's my next 2 games.
I mean, I've got a 2 terabyte. Well, 2 terabytes on this one. 1 terabyte. I just gave 2 terabyte. I just gave just to Steam. Here.
Oh, I know.
And the other one, I put my OS on, and I might put the Epic Store on there. And I know people are going to hate me for that one, but they've got a couple of games on there that I bought that I'm going to play. So
yeah. As we're sitting there talking, I'm trying to find Outer Worlds on a PC. Still $60. Ugh.
What?
Oh well.
What, $60?
Outer Worlds.
Yeah, probably the cheapest place to get it's a PC right now. I think it's like 40 or 50.
No, I'm on the PC. The Windows Store is 60, but
look on Steam. Don't look on the Windows Store. Jesus.
Dude, it's not out on Steam.
It's not out on Steam yet?
It's coming in 2020.
Oh, well, we're in 2020. Welcome to 2020.
Basically, December 31st, 2020.
I've been here for 3 months. Where have you been?
Yeah, I know. 2020 is sucking ass right now just cause issues. But anyway, I'll look for that. I'll figure it out. Hell, if I even pick it up PS4, I could probably find it. It's something I want to play, but I'm getting Doom Eternal and Final Fantasy VII. I played the demo for it. I'm like, wow.
I avoided the demo for Final Fantasy VII. I just want to play the full game.
Right. But anyway, let's see.
So what was next on their specs? I mean, the GPU's the difference on that's pretty nominal. It's going to be about the same chip. The processor's basically the same chip. So there's really no difference there.
Let's see. The processor is pretty close. Here's the interesting thing. The Xbox Series X has 2 modes. 8 of those Zen 2 cores at 3.8 gigahertz, no multi-threading. This allows the old games that don't use it to run faster. That makes sense. And then 3.6 gigahertz at multi-threading. And then PlayStation 5 is just 3.5, and I bet you it's multi-threading altogether. I don't think that's going to be much of a difference.
I don't think it is either. But I kind of like the way the Xbox is going. If I had any games on it, that would be great. I just don't have very many games on the Xbox One to really care about. That kind of reminds me of like the PS3, where they basically stuffed the PS2 inside the PS3 on the initial launch, so you could run everything like it was native hardware. Because it was.
That's the other thing they're showing, and people are starting to nitpick this. They said they tested the top 100 PlayStation 4 games, and almost they all tested perfectly. And then the fanboys took it off. Only 100 games will play, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. They sit there and showed PS5 Pro Pro native mode and Pro and PS4 Pro native mode. Every game's going to play. They're all going to have to tweak them. I'm going to tell people Xbox One games going to have to be tweaked. There might be a bug or two. It just happens.
Well, I
PC
mean,
happens.
even when they did it, they basically just started doing emulation software to emulate the game anyway on it. You could put your disc in, but I mean,
Yeah,
it was basically running an emulator to play the 360 games on
yeah.
Xbox One.
But the
And
PS4 games and the Xbox One games are still don't have to have an emulator. They're running on six. There's
yeah,
going to be a hiccup. But the fanboys went off and said, "Look at Sony, it's so disappointing." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." I bet you can put any game in there and it'll run fine, barring a hiccup. I'm going to guarantee the Series X. They're going to put a game in there and they didn't program something versus these new Zen 2 cores. It goes, "Whoops, we got a bug. Hold on, patch it."
yeah.
I don't care. It's fanboyism.
It
Um,
is. It is. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of so on the fence on either one of them. And if I want either one of them, right now I would
yeah,
lean towards the PS5 just because of the way Microsoft handled things last generation. Not
and that's
towards
another thing
anything
we've
that the
talked about.
PlayStation has brought up, because they really
No,
haven't shown me anything yet at all.
right,
I mean, neither really has the Xbox, to be honest. They haven't shown me anything playing on this thing yet, so I don't know.
right. The thing about it is that we was talking about this. There's the big thing. Okay, Series X. I even the first thing I told you guys on text, and I was going to think, well, this thing's a piece of crap, and I just said I'm impressed. I'm glad. I'm happily wrong that Microsoft came out and just blew me away. But here's the biggest thing: there's no first party exclusive titles on the system for 2 years, up to 2 years. That new Halo game will play on my boat anchor. I call it my boat anchor Xbox One, the giant black one. I don't need it. I don't need a series. I don't need an Xbox One S. I don't need a One X. I don't need a Series X.
Well, here's my thing.
That's a kicker. And I know you had a big thought about that. Go ahead.
Well, and here's my thing with that too is PlayStation's not showing me any exclusives are coming out on it. They haven't flat out said, "Hey, we're not going to do any exclusives," but they don't have shit either right now. Nobody has shown me
Right.
anything as far as content that's coming out that's going to be exclusive to one system or the other, right? And Xbox's case
Sony's
is
actually
not.
shown.
Have
Sony's
they?
shown like two games. I
Okay.
can't remember the name of. There are two. Like maybe between 1 and 3 games. They are PlayStation 5 exclusives,
Okay.
and they look badass to the fucking core. They're gorgeous. So yes, Sony has already started.
Okay. Well,
Showing stuff.
at least
Yes.
they're trickling something out because I was last time I looked, which was admittedly like a month ago, I think. I had a hard time finding any games that looked like they were just going to be the next generation. They were all going to be the tail end of this generation and then kind of lead up into the next generation, right? Which is kind of where
Yeah.
Microsoft has kind of got a little bit of an edge there because they're going to kind
Hmm.
of like coax people to give you an upgrade to the Series X version of the game if you go ahead and buy the game. So you don't feel as
Hmm.
worried about buying the game on their platform early because you're going to get to play it on their new platform without having to double dip.
Exactly.
And I don't think the PlayStations do anything like that. So that could hurt them a little bit. Now, the other thought that I had, and now I know everybody that's pretty much even watching this at all, like Ryan and you and me and anybody else that may just be out there and not really even saying anything, they're probably thinking, well, what about the exclusives? What about the exclusives? But we're honestly in a growing minority in that. And think about it for a minute.
Mm.
Honestly, think about it, because you got a lot of people that play like FIFA, they play Madden, they're playing like the NFL and NHL games and
Mm.
stuff like that. They're playing the Call of Duties, they're playing their Battlefields. Those
Right.
go on every console.
Even a fucking handheld.
Yeah.
But I have to disagree slightly that it's not as because Horizon Zero Dawn is and Death Stranding is going to the PC. The Twitter internet blew up. There are more fans that love and praise Sony for their exclusives than we think.
And
I
I'm
think,
hoping that's the case because that's really how you need to sell consoles. And
yeah,
Ryan's correct. I mean, Sony pretty
Shoney,
much took
Shoney, who's
Sony,
Shoney?
Sony's. I
Yeah,
haven't been in one of those in forever. Sony next to like the Switch pretty much took this generation. And honestly, if I were to gonna give a winner to this generation, I'd give it to the Switch. Um, I
they
just
came back. They've already hit 50 billion, and
I,
they were so far behind, and they're just. I could see them by this Christmas be up to 70,
yeah, I
literally.
like it better than I do any of the three consoles I own right now.
Yeah, my consoles in here have dust on them.
Yeah,
I don't hate them. I don't play them as much, and only thing that it's going to make me power up my PS4 is Doom and Final Fantasy 7, and that makes me. And my wife looked at me and said, "You don't even turn on your PlayStation 4. You said you don't want a PS5." And I looked at her, I said, "You're right. Unless I'm the one thing that I had to say, the one of the things that might make me buy a PS5, and I was going to share this image. Did you about is that if it played PS3, 2, and 1, that would be a killer.
Yeah.
That would be a killer
Now if they
feature.
let it play all those, that's great. And go back to Ryan's comment. Xbox did totally shit the bed this generation. They had the least amount of exclusives. They had
Yes.
the worst hardware. Um, they had the worst running platform. There were issues even joining like voice chat between me and you on multiple occasions.
Me and you sat.
Um,
Me and Nick here sat for an hour. We finally had to put our Xbox Ones in our DMZ fucking wireless routers to get them to talk.
I had to put it in native IP6 just to get it to work over Wi-Fi.
And then I had to move mine to DMZ. I'm like, the fuck?
Yeah.
How could you? Oh my god!
Yeah, it was a nightmare to get connected together. The PlayStation wasn't nearly as difficult to get put together on it. It ran better over a LAN connection for the longest time. My Wi-Fi didn't like it for a long time, but as soon as I got it connected to a LAN, it ran great. Now the
Right?
Switch has its own problems with its own online because the voice
Oh
chat
god!
is like may as well not exist.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of join into a party on things, but it's still they. Here we are, like 20, 30 years into playing games like online all the time, and Nintendo still hasn't quite figured out what the hell to do with the internet. I don't really know what's
Japanese
going
mentality.
on.
Their Japanese mentality is fucking backwards. They don't
Uh,
want to pull their head out of their ass. But I just put this in the chat. If you remember that, this is the backwards compatibility screenshot from that. If you click on that link, I don't know if you see the link in the
I
chat
don't
or I
think I
can.
see the link in the chat. Ryan might see it.
Let me sit there and pull up our chat and let you click on that and
Okay.
let you actually see that image. And when you get that image up, let me know. But why is there so much space below the PS4? Does it look like they could just drop 3, 2, and 1 down there and make a nice P with PlayStation? That seems like, why did you make that graphic if they're not going to come up and go reveal on
Sorry,
PS3?
I'm putting the image over your face. Yeah, the
That's fine.
PS5, the PS4 Pro, PS4, and then they've got all that rest under the P. Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't understand why it's. People are pointing that out, and I actually, a lot of times people are kind of sitting there and kind of making up kind of some bullshit. But to be honest, I that seems like they're being sneaky that they're going to come out and say, I mean, PS1 the fucking pie can do, so there's no sense. PS2, I watched ETA Prime. You could get a dinky $50 computer off eBay, and sometimes some places make it work. The only killer that might be a difficult is making the PS3 work. That is a beast
I don't
of
know,
that
man. Every
chip.
time they do this stuff, they have this weird architecture thing that they go through over and over and over again. Um, and that would be great. I would love to see them start emulating PS1, PS2 because there's tons of games there that I never played. I'll be honest, I never owned the PS1 or PS2. When the PS1 came out, I was waiting on the N64, and I was quite happy with my
Hmm.
N64. I loved it to death. Had tons of good
Hmm.
games on it. Every time I went to look for the PlayStation games, I had a hard time finding anything because there was so much trash out there along with the good stuff that I couldn't find anything to figure out whether or not I wanted one or not. I didn't have a lot of money either. And it was kind of
Yeah.
the same way with the PlayStation 2. I decided to go with the Xbox 360 over the PlayStation 2, and I honestly did not regret the Xbox versus PlayStation 2 at all. I love that console to death.
Xbox or Xbox 360? I think
Uh,
you've been the
I
OG.
think it's I think it was OG Xbox versus
I
PS2,
remember
wasn't
you and
it?
I, software, etc. We walked out of Hamilton Place Mall. We bought those at the same time,
Yeah,
didn't we?
pretty
I
close
went,
too. I pre-ordered one as soon as I saw Halo because I had pretty much given up on first-person shooters till I saw that and I went, oh my god, I have to play that.
yeah, and then I went ahead and went PlayStation 1, and I'm glad I did. But it was so easy to develop for. They had so much shit, but once you got good games on it, it was a good system. N64 was good, but I don't know. I'm glad I went PlayStation. I skipped PlayStation 2. I went to Xbox. I tried the GameCube as well. And then after that, we stuck with the 360. Me, you, Patrick, Brooks, and our other friend we used to
Mm-hmm.
have, Dale. And that system, they kicked Sony's ass. Sony caught up, but if Microsoft hadn't had the red ring of death, they would have ran off with them because
Yeah.
they basically, if you read the history, it is amazing that they put together the 360 in 60 days because all they did is throw out some PC parts together. And that's back in the day where it was fine to do that. It was plenty. It was more powerful than any of the consoles at the time. They just slapped some chips together and stuff.
Yeah. And I think you're right on that. I mean, I don't know. I didn't get the PlayStation, and I didn't get the PlayStation 2, and I had second thoughts about picking up the PS3, and the reason I had second thoughts on it is I absolutely cannot stand that D-pad. It's better than the one that they put on, like, say, the Xbox One, but that is a hideous, atrocious gamepad for anybody who wants to play a fighting game. And you can sit there and tell me all day you can play a fighting game on it, and I'll plug in an arcade stick or an old gamepad, and I'll beat the living shit out of you every time with it because it's just more responsive.
Which one?
Any of the PlayStation controllers. Any of
They're
them.
not the greatest. No, they're not
That
that great.
sunken D-pad is an abomination upon the world, and I wish they would get away from it. I've hated it I hate it in the PS1. I hate it in the PS2. I hate it on the PS3, and I don't like it on the PS4. It's better on the PS4 because over the 30 years of almost not changing the controller design at all, okay, they have changed it in the same way that the Porsche has changed their design. It's basically the same fucking car, just slightly trimmed here and there.
Yeah, they've pulled it together a little bit to where the D-pad is actually pretty good on the PS4, especially for old school platformers. It's really a good. If when we played Broforce on the PC, the PS4 was the best controller. But for fighters, yeah, it's not that great. But then Microsoft has shat the bed over and over. Hell, go back and look. They were actually, when you go back and look at some of these videos, they invited a lot of some YouTubers and Digital Foundries to Redmond, and they had all the Xbox controllers on display. And you look back at those old ones, and it's just like, that is a garbage D-pad. It was just like poured plastic into a round place. It was horrible. And
yeah, well, I mean, the worst controller Xbox ever did was the Duke. That thing was abysmal. And it wasn't as bad when I initially played with it. I got used to it. But as soon as the Japanese version came over, I just went, oh my God, why wasn't this your controller from day one?
I love that. When I got that smaller controller and booted up Halo, my Hobbit hands do not cry.
I know.
I was like, thank
right?
God. Oh.
And honestly, the best controller to use on any of these consoles right now is just go out and buy yourself like a $50 8-bit controller. Just do it.
I know. I've been wanting to get me one.
Dude, that's like the best. It's got the best D-pad. It's got the analog sticks in the same place as the PlayStation, which isn't my favorite layout. I prefer the Xbox layout, but I've gotten used to it.
The staggered, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And honestly, the more I've gotten used to it, the more I just like a smaller controller. Like even the Xbox One controller, as comfortable as it is, still feels a little big now because I've gotten so used to using stuff like the 8-bit.
That's all.
But you can use it on the PlayStation. You can use it on the Switch. You can use it on our PC.
It's universal. They made sure. Everybody loves the thing. It'll work
on almost everything. They run about $50. They're great controllers. They're just great controllers. Now there's certain things it won't do on the Switch, like the
amiibos and
the
and
amiibo thing. It won't do that. That's and I think it'll actually even do the vibrate stuff that the Pro controllers do. So it's not a big deal there either.
It's not Pro or HD Rumble, but it's normal Rumble, so it don't really matter.
Yeah.
The HD Rumble is pretty neat, but it's not like the game changer to me. It never was.
But I suspect the PlayStation 5 controller is going to be almost the exact same thing as the others. Hopefully they make the touchpad smaller, because I kind of agree with some people that the touchpad's just it's okay, but it's a little big. For what
I hope they kill it. I hope they kill it. It was a novel idea. It just didn't work right.
Yeah.
It was
And Ryan, I mean, kudos to you if you like that D-pad. It's okay for some things, but I don't like it for fighting games. Most of the people I know that use that controller for fighting games, they actually go out and buy like $150 version of that controller. And the reason they do that is because what they do is they rip out all the components on the inside and replace it with mechanical. So the D-pad actually has the click, because it's so spongy that when you press on one angle on it or the other, you actually hit multiple angles every time you touch it. So what they do is they replace that, and they replace the buttons with more responsive buttons. But basically, you're doubling the price. You're buying the controller What they do is they go out and they buy a commercial controller, rip everything out of it, and put all new parts in it, and then they double the price.
Yeah. And also, you remember that Sony released the back of their, they had the back bumpers really easy, and people shit out of that thing. I thought it'd be kind of stupid. They didn't. They love it. They're like, wow, we get, they didn't even have to have a pro controller. They just put that stuff to the back. And I was like, that's brilliant. That was actually a clever
Yeah,
move.
actually, it's a very smart move. I thought that was very clever. And I'm hoping they work that into just the base PlayStation 5 controller.
Yeah, they should just put
that's
it
kind
back
of
there and just say, fuck it, here you go.
Yeah.
Be
Because
done with it.
then you don't have to move off the face buttons. That's the thing I love the most about the Xbox One Elite controller is you could add those paddles. And those paddles let you keep your hands on the analog sticks the whole time you played the game. And you could pretty much just access anything from there or from the triggers. It's a little weird to get used to, and you got to figure out where your layout is. So it's always a little bit of exploration with it. But I think if you do it natively when you're doing the console, people will get used to it, and it'll always be in the same place, and it'll become second nature, and nobody will ever want to do it again. Now you can leave the face buttons there for other things if you need them, right? But I mean, that's going to be another factor for me is what the controllers are going to look like and what they're going to do with those, right? Because that could really change the gameplay experience itself.
So we know with the PlayStation, I mean, we're coming up here. Well, we've been going for 50 minutes. That's good. We had a lot to talk about this time. The other times we couldn't figure out what all to talk about.
Well, we kind of went off on some tangents on like controllers and this, that, and the other, but it kind of all wraps in.
So PlayStation 5 has still got a full reveal. Everybody shit their pants and got pissed off at this one because everybody said the reveal sucked. I said it wasn't the reveal. With this people staying at home due to this crap going on, they released everything. This is the developers conference.
Yeah, this wasn't a reveal. This was a deep dive into the architecture, and that's exactly what I looked at it.
Yeah, your audio's cutting in and out. I think it's
yours
Discord starting. Yeah, Discord's starting to shit up on
Discord.
us. Okay. But at the end of the day,
Ryan's right. Those back pedals, they're great for more things than just SPSs. You can use them for damn near anything you want to use them for. They're great for all sorts
especially
of
driving games and everything.
But
what would the PS5 reveal do to get you to potentially get it this year? What could they do to make you? I mean, you're like me. You think Sony would be something to get because you're not going to lose your PS4 games. Just dump them onto a USB drive and then plug them in, and you got them. So what would they do to make you pre-order this year?
Honestly, it for me, because it comes into the same thing. Even though I think for the main masses, the exclusives may not be the big deal, for me, they are. You're going to have to show me something I can't get somewhere else that I feel I have to play.
Right, just like the Xbox.
Then you have to have a good timeline. You need to give me a roadmap of shit coming out that doesn't slip like every 2 days of stuff that you're bringing out that I can look forward to. None of this like Order 1840, whatever the fuck it was, that was supposed to be a launch title, came out 5 years later and was total ass, right?
Yeah.
You need to come out with some stuff, and you need to be able to stick to some dates, which means you need to start having games coming in the pipeline ready to go now. And you need to be able to release those through a time window on guaranteed timelines. This is what you need to do. Because I'm done playing this console game of them going, oh, well, the games are coming. The games are coming. We fucking waited a year and a half, 2 years for fucking games to show up on the last console. That was a fucking fifth of the way through their life cycle before shit started finally ramping up.
They do finally sit there and take their sweet ass time. Would a feature like all PlayStation games even make it even better for you to buy?
You know what? If they said, okay, you can play any PlayStation from any of our repertoire on it, and if you don't want to have a physical copy of it, we're going to have them on the online store. Day one buy. Give me your entire library, as much of it as you can, and let me play it. Some of it I'll go out and buy physical copies of it if I can find a good, solid physical copy, because getting a good physical copy of a CD game or a DVD game is a fucking nightmare. You know that.
Oh, God, yes.
They've all got scratches and nicks and this, that, and the other, and God only knows they've been used for a coaster for 15 years, and then somebody found it and
found it in the dumpster somewhere.
Found it! Yeah. Was holding my beer! Just, that kind of ridiculousness, So... And it's easier to go back and find cartridge games. I think that's why the retro thing has gotten so popular with keeping old consoles like that, because carts just last longer. They don't get scratched up as easy. So
Well, think about this. I mean, the Switch, well, those cartridges or game cards, I call them, or cartridges, they'll last for decades.
yeah. And that's the kind of thing that you want to go back and play. Something that you can put in. You don't have to do a lot of work to try to retexture the disc to where you can
Hmm.
play it again, where you can do all that crap. It's just something that you can plug in and you can just play it, right? Now that's going to get
Right.
harder to do the farther up you go in the generation and the more DLC and the more you had to connect to
Yeah.
server and that's the problem with the modern gaming that I have is it's great in one aspect because a lot of your saves and stuff like that are always there, but what happens when the server goes down? You still
Mm-hmm.
can't access it even if it's a single player game because you had to go here to verify this and now you can't. And how do you
Yeah,
play it?
and over time, these next gen or these current gen titles will everybody will grapple. I want it on my new console. Guess what? Down. There's not a goddamn thing Microsoft Sony can do. It's done. It's dead.
Yeah,
The multiplayer for the Ghostbusters video game was taken down, and it made us all so sad that the re-release. I still need to buy a Switch version of that because I really wanted the cartridge. There's no multiplayer because it was built back in the day to connect to servers, and it pissed me off. It would have been great. We could have still played that. Me and you played the hell out of that
yeah, we
multiplayer.
played
It
the
was
crap out of it. It was
and
basic
like,
and simple, but
boop,
man,
there
it was
goes the
fun.
server.
The
Yeah.
closest thing we could get to that would be like Luigi's Mansion 3.
Well, Luigi's Mansion does have full online
Yeah,
multiplayer.
yeah, it does. And you're sitting there busting ghosts, so that's why I said that's the closest thing we can get.
Yeah. We just haven't done it because Switch Online kind of scares me. I don't know
Yeah,
any good.
it's kind of bad.
Well, it's pretty bad.
So
I
I
don't know
mean
what
that,
else. I
that
don't know
that's
what
pre-
else to talk about.
I mean just to kind of sum it up. I mean the hardware specs are great to talk about. I think they're both going to have a good, fairly comparable hardware. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's really going to come down to who's going to offer me the biggest bang for my buck. Are you going to offer me like being able to retroactively go back and play all this stuff? If so, that's a pretty big draw for me because there's a lot of stuff, particularly on the PlayStation line, that I never caught that I would probably go back and try
Hmm.
to find old copies of.
Oh yeah.
Um, Now, conversely, if they come out and they show me a good solid roadmap and they intend to actually stay on that damn roadmap and not let everything slip like they did last
Hmm.
gen, then it would be an early buy if I felt confident that they would do that. But both consoles failed on that front this past generation.
Oh yeah, they
The,
did. I
the
mean, you've
only one
got
that
like
didn't was the Switch. They just came out
um,
guns blazing.
they had to because the Wii U is such a flop, even due to their monumental branding and fuck ups and everything else. That's the whole thing we don't have to go back into, but they knew it. They threw out Breath of the Wild, they threw this, and it's like, wow, games. And then people bought that that didn't have a Wii U. I want to play Breath of the Wild. What happened? They made a $300 purchase and a $60 purchase. That is how you sell consoles. That's how
Yeah.
the Xbox, which was a joke, and people made fun of it until people like you and everybody else said, "Holy fuck balls, I got to play Halo." Where's it at? On the Xbox.
Yeah.
Here's my money. That's how you got to do it. This last PS4, I am really gun shy because I bought Killzone. It was gorgeous at the time. It still is a gorgeous game. It was not worth it. I got Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It just looked great, better than the 360 version. It wasn't worth it, and I'm not going to jump again.
You know what? I loved Black Flag until I had to play the main game. If you'd
Mm.
just let me be a pirate, I
Yeah,
had so much fun just pirating in that
I did
game.
too until I
But when
got
I
to
had
a
to actually
damn.
play the story, it was fucking awful. I
It was
hated
okay
it.
until I got into a swamp and had to go
I couldn't
around
even get that far.
alligators.
Every time
And
I
they
had to
are,
follow somebody through a hostile zone and not get too close and not get too far, and I hated that with a passion.
I did. And the thing about it is I get the games. I know we're going off a tangent real quick. They're supposed to be playing memories. You could stop being so anal retentive because I started that game up and I almost want to throw it. I walked and I stood there and it was like three times the guy turned around, looked straight at me, and I didn't even move. I didn't even get a chance to start. And then about three or four times, like I started again, I moved and it let me do it. And I'm thinking, the one thing Assassin's Creed fails at is like, I get that you're trying to force us to play a memory. Stop making me do it on this little time scale and this little rail. What's the
Yeah,
point of
I
having an open
I
world game if it's on rail?
much like Fallout 5, I don't like the interruptions to the gameplay. Right, Fallout 5. Every time we get I'm sorry, not Fallout.
Fallout 5, what the hell?
Far Cry 5. Every time we get so far, we get pulled into a boss battle.
Yes.
It would just drag us wherever it wanted to go. After
It's
we
like,
got so
oh
far.
look, Phew.
Yeah, and I felt like Assassin's Creed always does the same thing. They're like, here's the story, here's the meta story behind your story, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm a pirate. No, you're a guy remembering a memory of a pirate. No, I'm a pirate.
Y'all are matey.
Let me.
I
Can I
need
be
some
a
winches.
pirate?
I need some winches. Ale and get ready. Get
I had my own brothel. It
scurry.
was amazing. It's fantastic. And yeah, Ryan's. Ryan, I could see a lot of people hanging back, right? I mean, 2 years and then get a PS5. Yeah, because I mean, by then you're probably gonna have at least a dozen or more good first-party titles to be able to play on there. I'm
Also,
hoping
you
it's
got to think
more.
about for us in the United States. I mean, if anybody else sees this, else is tax season.
Yeah,
That's time you get there. You get X amount back. You go. There's no rush on them now. Shouldn't be. Flop.
yeah,
Simple. That I would probably see myself unless they still didn't give me anything to really want. I'd probably get one in tax season. It'd be cheap, simple. Just flop down a few $100 out of the tax return. There you go.
yeah, yeah. I can see it. However, we've run for a little over an hour now. Any last thoughts or anything you want to wrap up with on what you think between these two and kind of where your headspace is?
Until I see a full reveal and Sony start showing the operating system, the controller, the thing, I'm dead curious about what this damn thing is going to look like because you saw that prototype, which looks like a fucking V. And then there was a leak I saw where they showed it on a website, and literally at the top they showed those outlines. They had that same design as the PS5, and somebody yanked
I
it
think the
down.
controller is going to look very similar to the PS4
Oh
controller.
yeah.
It may have that attachment on it that you could add onto it for the paddles,
Mm-hmm.
or at least be offered. I think the OS is going to look almost just like the PS4 one because they used it on the PSP. It was very popular. They moved it onto the PS3 and it's followed onto the PS4. I don't see any reason to really change it because it's not really broken. And I think they're going to
Mm.
find the same thing. So they're going to do the same damn thing. I'm more curious to see what the Xbox does with their OS and how it looks because it was a train wreck last time. And
It's still a train wreck. I still hate the damn thing.
it's still awful and it needs to be fixed. They tried to go all Windows 8 with it, and then they tried to kind of fix it, but they didn't really fix it, and it just kind of became a huge mess.
It was a
So,
mess. I hated it. I still hate it. I still hate doing something on my Xbox One, and I boot up my PS4 like, okay, and it's
yeah,
the same. That's why the Switch looks the same. As they're both based on NetBSD. It's
yeah,
a simple
it's
operating
just
system.
super easy to navigate. It's super easy to get to where you need to go, and it's nice and clean. And really, all you're looking for out of your console is being able to hook up with your friends and being able to jump into a game. That's it. That's all it's for.
That's it. Yep.
So,
I'm super curious because, like I said, this week came up or something, and all of a sudden, I was like, oh, when this talk about stuff, and oh look, Microsoft just blew their load all over the place Monday. I was like, shit. And then all of a sudden somebody says, oh wait, Sony's going to say something else. I'm like, oh, here it comes. They're starting. I just can't wait for the full reveal, and then you'll see the fanboys chomping at the bit, IGN and all these people that start the fanboy wars to keep stoking them. They're going to be like, "What? This was better," and I think this was better. I'm just like,
oh, I know. Tons of people are already saying they're buying an Xbox Series X day one because of the hardware specs on it. Because it's, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a cheap gaming PC. If it'll play the things you wanted to play, that's great. And I kind of agree with Ryan. That would be really funny if they just had a card swipe on there because I'm kind of waiting for that shit to happen with the way some of these games are going now. I mean, you saw the whole thing with
mm-hmm.
DOA. They charge you $1 every time you change your hair color.
I know. I like the Ed said they're not going to put any of that shit in it.
And you
No.
know what? I dropped for the deluxe edition. I dropped 90 on it. So they give me the extra content and skins and shit like that, and
Yep.
I'm hoping they hold to it, man, because it's $90 dropped on faith that they're not gonna
Oh
do that
yeah.
crap.
When I get like the steel book and I get the physical copy. I wanted this damn helmet edition. I would have definitely liked that one, and it was sold out so fast I couldn't even touch it.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yep.
So
I'm good. I think we're good right now.
yeah,
I'm just kind of like during the day as I'm working, I'm going IGN, or other places. Sudden it just stuff dropped, and I was like, oh, here it is.
yeah. I was stuck on a bridge stand. As a matter of fact, I got to get on. I got to get on a maintenance tonight at like 1 a.m. It's gonna suck.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's get off here then. Let you rest. It's
All
11
right.
my time. Sit around, drink beer, and relax.
Yeah. I'll catch you, man. This is Geeks with Cash and Big Old Gamer, and we are
Yep.
out.
See ya.
Bye.